The first half of the F1 season is over and Max Verstappen is not where he wants to be, as he finds himself in 6th place in the drivers' standings and his team Red Bull also struggling, who are at 4th place in the Constructors' Championship. But I have 3 reasons of why Max Verstappen can still win this year's championship, and the last one is the most important one. Now let's talk about the first one. The summer break has begun and Max Verstappen is currently 110 points behind the leader, that is Kimi Antonelli. Now when we talk about this for a second, many people think that the season is over and Max can't make a comeback, but the point I'm trying to make is that he has been in these sorts of situations before. Because if you look at last year, Max trailed Oscar Piastri by 104 points, and when the season ended, he was 11 points ahead of Oscar Piastri and just 2 points from winning the championship. However, we also have to note that Max Verstappen's comeback last season was also due to Oscar Piastri having a generational choke. Alright, he messed up in many races, which ultimately allowed Max and Lando to capitalize on it by winning as many races as they can. But if you look at this particular season, Max has not been that good like we expect him to be. That is also due to the car not being the best. But we all know that he can perform well even with a bad car. He has still been able to get 4 podiums out of the 11 races this season. And I know that he is going to win some races this season. And everyone who are chasing for the championship should be happy, because the Bahrain Grand Prix is also back on the calendar, and it is in Malaysian circuit, and that's a good thing. But Max's comeback doesn't only depend upon him. In order for him to win this championship, there are some things that also has to go his way. And that brings us to a second point, which is Mercedes having their own issues. Now, throughout the season, the only problem Mercedes have been facing is probably their reliability issues, right? With all these new regulations, we all know that Mercedes are the fastest, and it's not even close. But they have got a big problem this year, as they are not fighting against any team for points, but they are sort of struggling to keep their car in every race, because their car have broken down for no reason. We first saw it in the Canadian Grand Prix, when we had an absolute thriller of a battle between George Russell and Kimi Antonelli for the win, and during the fight, George Russell's car just got slowed down and eventually had to be retired. Even I don't know what was the reason behind this. Now we also even saw it with Kimi Antonelli when his winning streak came to an end in Barcelona, when his car got slowed and eventually had to retire from the car. And both the Mercedes drivers have had a fair share of amount of DNF. Some of them are due to the car, but some of them also are due to their own mistakes, which has also allowed Ferrari to gain points and wins. And right now, Ferrari can actually win the Constructors' Championship. And I might do another video on that, because they're just behind 72 points behind Mercedes now, who are at 379 points, and Ferrari sitting at 307. And if things don't change for Mercedes, they might be in trouble. Because Max and Lewis, if they get a chance, almost certainly it's going to be among those two who's going to take the championship. And even both the McLaren drivers can capitalize on their mistakes. But the most important thing blocking Max Verstappen from winning his 5th World Championship is the teenager from Italy, Kimi Antonelli. Kimi has been on superb form this season. After a very doubtful season in 2025, he has just silenced his critics who question about his seat in F1. But we also can't forget that Kimi Antonelli is 19 years of age, and he is still learning, alright? Now, no matter how many races he has won this season, he has to deal with the biggest challenge, that is handling pressure. Because the drivers who don't handle pressure, they just lose. And that is exactly what happened with Oscar Piastri last season. That is also one of the reasons why he did not win the championship, even though he had a massive lead in the Drivers' Championship. Not that he was a bad driver, but he did not deal with the amount of pressure that he was dealing with. Not that he was a bad driver, no, not at all. I believe Oscar Piastri is a better driver than Lando Norris, and I think he is probably a top 3 driver in the current drivers list, alright? But he lost last season because he had never been in that situation, right? He never led the championship by a huge amount of points, and eventually the pressure got to him, and people might underestimate this, but Even Lewis lost in his rookie year by just 1 point, not because he was a bad driver in his rookie season, no, but he had not been in that situation and didn't know how to handle pressure. So that is what it is. And since Kimi is also in the same situation right now, because it is only his second year and he has not been in this situation before, so anything can happen. But although I do want Kimi to win, because who hates this guy, man? Just look at him. He is so good. But yeah, Max can realistically still fight for the championship, but it is very, very tough. And some things should also go in his way, like I said in this video. But I truly can't wait for the second half of the season because I want to see whether Kimi can handle his pressure, or will he choke, or will Lewis get his 8th, or are we going to see another crazy Max Verstappen comeback? Who knows? But that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.